The clamshell exercise is a standard exercise that I often give for people that have knee or low back pain. And the reason it's beneficial for both is because it strengthens the posterior gluteus medius, or the posterior aspect of the glute med muscle. So if we think about a lot of knee injury, for example, many people cave into a knee valgus position, where the knee is in the femurs or collapsing into adduction and internal rotation. And that's because there's a strong dominance of the muscles in the front and relative weakness of the muscles that help abduct and externally rotate the femur. Now, when someone performs the clam exercise, it's good to have the knees bent about 90 degrees with the feet in line with the butt. So perform a clamshell for me. And back down. Okay, one more time. And back down. Now, as she goes into the movement, and this is something they don't talk about very much that often in school, is that we're looking for a combination of both abduction and external rotation. So the glute works, the posterior glute works as both an abductor and an external rotator. So as she goes into it, we need to see an arc of motion where it's relatively going up and using both aspects, both components of that muscle. Raise again. Now you will see in some people that they'll just raise the leg purely straight up, or they're going to rotate straight back, where they're trying to isolate maybe the abduction or the external rotation component. But in the pure clamshell, we're looking for both of those aspects. Now, a way people often compensate is by rolling back from the hips. So raise your leg up again, and you'll see that whole shift from the body, where instead of just getting hip and abduction movement, they're now getting rotation to the lumbar spine, which is not what we're looking for. So to cue that, I often place, I'll say I want the belly button to be angled down toward the table, and then also your hip bones here to be leaning forward. So it's going to seem excessive in how much they're leaning forward. So roll forward, and then perform the movement again, and then back down. One more time here. Excellent. Now the second major compensation I see is individuals tend to collapse from their trunk. So if you have weakness in the glute, the next common substitution is to help use some of your trunk muscles, your obliques, your quadratus lumborum, to help complete that movement. And this is more common in women that have larger hips. And a simple thing that you can do is place a pillow underneath their side to take out that movement. So raise up for me here. Even higher, sorry. And lower back down. So now, if you would look at her, she's in a relative side bend position, but on someone who has wider hips, it actually puts them in a neutral position from their low back. Square up again, roll the hips forward, and then raise up. And what you'll find is that individuals who do have larger hips, and they do tend to side bend when they're trying to work on their glutes, is that this makes it much more harder and it's much more effective to isolate the posterior glute med when performing a clamshell.